Okay, so firstly, a tremendous shkoyach to Rabbi Stern for the initiative. Psiyata Dishmaya, number one. Number two announcement is if anyone in the future has suggestions what they like to have a halacha shir on, reach out. You can reach out to myself. You can reach out to anyone, and we love to accommodate if someone has. I mean, it's already been voted, and next week we'll start Hilchos Purim. There'll be 2 weeks, Mirz Hashem, next Tuesday, and the Tuesday after, and Mirz Hashem will do Hilchos Purim. Hilchos Purim will be at 2 weeks, and then maybe then we'll actually move it to Pesach. Actually, these are easy ones. Okay, whatever it is. B'siyata Dishmaya. That's number two. Number three is let's get started. We have 19 minutes. For 19 minutes, I'll tell you the topic I was thinking. Thinking of something we touched upon briefly on Shavuos night, but I don't know if the brain necessarily remembers information that was discussed on Shavuos night, which is waiting 6 hours between meat and milk. Do we have any yakis in the room? Oh, we always have a token yaki, Baruch Hashem. We have the yakis that, of course, wait 3 hours. Why they do that, no one has yet figured out. But listen, we're not going to question. Yeah. All the raid, it's not there. It wasn't printed. Okay, all the good raid, But what we like to, another yaki has walked in. We say yaki, and he just pops out of the walls. Baruch Hashem. But really the question really is, okay, everyone knows they grew up, they have to wait 6 hours, they have to wait 3 hours, they have to wait 5 hours, 5.5 hours. Everyone has their own minhag, and we're not coming to change any minhagim. And if your minhag is to wait 6, you should wait 6, 5.5, you wait 5.5, 5, it's 5, 3 is 3. But the question is, there are multiple cases that happen in life, and we have to know when one would be able not to have to wait those 6 hours. Maybe one doesn't have to. And I'd like to discuss the following few cases tonight. The few cases, can you change your minhag? Which way? Which way do you want to change? You want to go up? Yes. Rav Elyashiv held that all yakis should, even though they used to wait the whole life 3 hours, Rav Elyashiv would tell them they all should wait 6 hours. All should wait 6 hours. There's good yakish shahak, but tonight's not for the yakish shahak. That the shach says if you have a reach of Torah, you wait 6 hours. Okay, listen. Okay, all the emotional. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. But the question is, all the cases that happen. What are the cases that happen? I'll tell you a case that happened to me 2 nights ago. Or was it last night? No, it was last night, actually. It was last night. Last night I sat down to dinner at approximately 12:15. And PM, 8 a.m., 12:15. And as I'm sitting down to some sesame chicken that was sitting in the oven since, I think it was 6:15 when my wife told me it's sitting there. And I was thinking, 1 second, when I wake up in the morning, it's not going to be 6 hours. Can I have my sesame chicken? So the question is, okay, so don't have your coffee in the morning. Don't have a shachris in the morning. Like, what does it have to do with each other? If you're not going to have your coffee in the morning, it's not going to work. So that's one question I want to talk about. Another question I want to talk about, which is a classic, it's Erev Shabbos, and you're sitting there in the kitchen pretending to help. Maybe you're doing something. What do? You take something. The way that husbands help is, well, what do? We eat the food. And you take a bite. And of course, the second, whether it's the second you swallow, the second before, the cup of coffee is waiting for you, and all those wonderful cases. That's a second avenue I'd like to talk about. And the third avenue is what's the story with pregnant woman and nursing woman? Is there a story? Is there not a story? My wife was one time told if she had crazy cravings, she doesn't have to wait 6 hours. Like what levels? Those are really the three areas that I would like to touch upon tonight. 3 years I'd like to touch upon tonight, and hopefully within that we'll cover the gamut. And really the biggest area is what makes you fleishiks. What makes you fleishiks? You came home and there was a piece of kugel from any local establishment, which is, plastered on a fleishiks equipment, and you eat it. You're like, oh shoot, am I fleishiks? So what makes you fleishiks, and the exceptions of the fleishiks, and the unique cases of the fleishiks. So let's go in that order, because that's more misudar, and hopefully the brain will be able to accept it that way. So number one is what makes you fleishiks. So this is a very important rule. First of all, if you're looking for where these halachas exist, this is in Yeridea, Shulchan Aruch Siman Pei Tes. And if you're astounded that I'm sitting here without notes, I spend probably 4 to 5 hours a day learning this. I'm currently learning this for Seder in Kailo, so nothing is, if I should be quoting you everything verbatim, the amount of hours, but I'm not going to because I don't know. It's so just that's the reason why I don't think that I could do this on anything. But Shulchan Aruch Simin Pei Tes. What makes you fleshik? So this is very important. What makes you fleshik is not the same rules as when you're allowed to mix it with milk. Meaning, that piece of kugel that comes from your fleshik establishment and it's fleshik equipment, you certainly can't put a piece of cheese on it, which would be disgusting anyways. I have no clue why one would do that. And you probably shouldn't even maybe eat it with milchik kalim. That's a different story. But those are not the same rules. We have to sort of split our brain. And this is something very difficult because we're brought up that, no, you can't mix it. And, oh, it's a problem. And it's not the same rules. Totally different rules. What makes you fleshiks, to put this into layman's terms, is when there is a tam, a taste of basar. If there's no taste of meat, you are not fleshiks. How far does this go? You're sitting in a kiddush, and there's a tray of kugel, and there's a tray of cholent, and someone took the spoon from the cholent, and they stuck it into the kugel. And then you come the next guy, and you take a piece of kugel. You're like, oh, well, the cholent spoon was in the kugel. So what? What did that have to do with your piece of kugel that you took? If you took the piece of kugel that's loaded with cholent, that's a different story. But just because you certainly would not be able to put milk on that kugel does not mean you have to wait 6 hours. This goes for lahalacha. This goes even for sharp foods. Even if you, let's say, have onions, we know onions are very scary in the world of our kitchens, but even if you have onions that were fried in a fleshik pot, and maybe they're made with, you have an onion rice type of dish that was made with fleshiks and served with fleshiks and seemingly is terribly fleshiks. Yes, but it doesn't make you fleshiks. You are only fleshiks if you eat actual meat, chicken, and a dish with actual meat and chicken. Now, the $1 million shayla, which we probably won't have time to win on tonight, is the French fries. The French fries is the $1 million shayla. What's the shayla? The shayla is, everyone knows that every good establishment changes their oil how often? Never. If you change the oil, you don't want to eat there. That means the food is not good. So they changed the oil never. So what went into their deep fryer? Everything. Chicken nuggets and French fries and whatever else, when no one was looking, they throw it inside. Wonderful. So now when you order those French fries, does that make you fleshiks? Does that make you fleshiks? So on one hand, if it was made with schnitzel, then there's no question. There shouldn't be a question. If someone has a question, then they're just wrong. That's like saying, well, I ate the chicken soup, but I didn't eat the chicken from the soup. I'm not fleshiks. That doesn't work that way. And we baskin that you are. But let's see your French fries. Let's see your French fries. And they're made in oil that previously made chicken. Now, la halacha, one should be machmir. One should. It's a massive fight. And, you have to do a good taste test. When you taste it, are you tasting the old oil? That's why it tastes so good. Are you tasting the old schnitzel crumbs burnt on the bottom of the deep fryer? What is the time? What is the taste that you have over there? So it's a good discussion. And I think Forsheimer writes that he did like a little science fair experiment. I don't think he sat there in BMG with like a bunch of things of fries and gave them out to test, but it sounds like, I read an article from him, it sounds like, that's what he did basically. And if you're honest, you can't really tell. But one should probably be machmer, but I'm just trying to show you how far this goes. You are only fleshiks when you eat something with actual meat in the dish, rice that was cooked in the oven and it was open and there was meat in the oven and it was next door to the oven and it touched the meat. Doesn't make a difference. Fleshik equipment does not make you fleshiks. Rule number 1 of the day. Beautiful. Okay, so finally you're fleshiks. Why are you fleshiks? Because you ate actual meat. Wonderful. How long do you wait? You wait as long as you wait. How long do you wait? You wait 3 hours. You wait 6 hours. You wait 5.5 hours. You wait 5 hours, 1 minute. Okay, whatever you wait, you wait. Where do all these things come from? We don't really have time to discuss this right now. Usually I would like to read the words of Shulchan Aruch where we would see that the Iker Din is really that you can't have it in the same meal. And that morphed into waiting. And then somehow this just like took on a life of its own. All of a sudden we're waiting like 6 hours. It's like a little bit crazy, and there's 2 reasons basically brought in the Rishayim. One is because you might have the taste, and might have the meat stuck between your teeth. Okay, the reasons aside, at the end of the day, you have to wait whatever you wait. Good, I'm just going to say 6 hours. Why do I say 6 hours? The Shach on the page writes, anyone who has, again, Yakis, close your ears for a moment, anyone who has a reyach, a scent, a smell of Torah writes the Shach, you wait 6 hours. You wait 6 hours. But again, whatever your minhag is, you wait. Yeah, I'm sorry, what's the question?
Does that include that? Let's say you find a piece of meat in your mouth.
Good question. Good question. Good question. Maybe at the end, if we have time, we'll get there. We'll get there. So you wait as long as you wait. But now the question is, what about in all these other cases? So now that we understand that there's two reasons why you're waiting. Why are you waiting? Number one is because when you swallow food, and I emphasize on the word swallow, there's tam, there's taste that goes into your mouth. And the other reason is that you might have a basar, meat, beina shinayim, between your teeth. Wonderful. So what if you didn't chew the food, nor did you swallow it? Well, then how did you eat it? The answer is maybe you didn't. Maybe you went and you put something in your mouth and you realized, and what did you do? You spit it out and you quickly washed out your mouth. A very pretty common case, actually. What's the story? So, Lamaisa, in that type of case, when you were to ask, did you taste it? Oh, I don't know, something went in my mouth, but I quickly rinsed my mouth out. In that case, one would not have to wait 6 hours because in that case, he didn't swallow anything, nothing went in his teeth. Now, what about the case where, like, a little gravy dripped in your hand? And then you licked off the gravy absentmindedly. So it's a little bit of a fight because when you licked it off, did you swallow it? I know we're getting a little bit nitty gritty over here, but these are the things that actually happen. Or you burn your finger. You burn your finger. Why? Because the cholent popped onto your finger and so you quickly put your finger in your mouth. Why? Why would you put burned fingers in our mouth? I have absolutely no clue. Our mouths aren't cold, but I guess that's just what we do. But what happens then? And after you put it in your mouth, like, oh. So I would say these are big questions, but in that type of case, if you were to be asked, like, how to taste, like, taste, I didn't taste anything. I licked the dot off my finger because my finger was on fire. That case also, probably one would not have to wait the 6 hours. But if it's the case where, no, some gravy fell on your finger and you licked it off and you enjoyed it, and then you did the, oh, shoot, 2 minutes later, it's unfortunate. But in such a scenario, it would be a problem. Like someone the other week reached out that her 12-year-old son just finished, by accident, ate something. And is he flashing? It's like, I understand it's by accident. I understand now mommy is very upset because the kid's not going to eat dinner. That's probably what happened over here. The kid probably was very happy not to eat dinner. And maybe that's why he even did it. He went purposely to eat it. But if you ate it, whether you did it by mistake or not, the bottom line is, in such a scenario, you would have to wait. So now the real question is, what? Yes.
Fast day.
Yes. Yes. So what does it mean on a fast day that you tasted? That's really the $1 million question. The Pashtus is, I don't believe anyone here on a fast day ever went and, I like to taste this and took a bite and tastes yummy, swallowed it. I don't. It's the same gedder that you wouldn't make a bracha on it. So when do you not make a bracha on something? You don't make a bracha on something, we don't get benefit from it. So it's a similar type of thing. The Pashtus is referring to something like you put it in your mouth and you spit it out, like I think the chefs do on raw food. I think that's what they say. They put it in their mouth and I don't know. But yeah. No, it's the exact same thing. That's exactly the same thing. If it didn't go down, then it would be the same. It would be the same type of case. Another example I see here is there are vitamins that have meat in it. Apparently this exists. I don't really know what that is, but you would not have to wait 6 hours. It must be real. Somehow it made its way into my notes. Now, another just important disclaimer is, when does the 6 hours start? When you finish the food, not when you finish the meal. Very important. You're eating your Shabbos food at 1:30, you cleared off the main course, and you might have sat there until 3 o'clock. Doesn't mean the 6 hours go from 3 o'clock, it goes from 1:30. Good. Suffolk, very common case. This is one of those OCD Jew things. I don't know why, but it just happens. Wait, what time did we finish? Everyone remember it was 1:37. And somehow with all the announcements comes Shal Shudis, and you're like, 1:37, 2:37, 1:45. No, 1:52. So the answer is once it's in the world of a suffix, and it's just in the world of a suffix, you could be makel and you would be allowed to have milk at that point. Just to explain it for 1 second, what's exactly the suffix? Do you have a suffix after an hour? If there's something upstairs, then no, you don't have a suffix after an hour if you just say meat. When do you have the suffix? Not after 3 hours either. When do you have the suffix? You have the suffix in like that 5 hour time period. That's what's going to happen. Like, wait, did I finish at 1:30? Was it 1:45? At that level of suffix, the Pashtus is, due to the fact that these are chumras on top of chumras on top of chumras, one would be allowed to have milk in the world of a suffix. Now, that doesn't mean you should create a suffix. The 3 hours. Oh, because within 3 hours, if you don't remember, I mean, that's, you're saying Yekis don't remember within 3 hours? That wasn't nice.
No.
But
Exactly.
they know exactly. They don't need it. They're good to go. But again, it doesn't mean you could create that important. Sometimes people hear this suffix thing like, okay, just don't look at your watch. No, it means when it is a relevant suffix. So now we have 2 more cases left. We have 5 minutes, and the 2 cases left are, number 1, someone is sick, and number 2, going to sleep at night. So let's start going to sleep at night because that's an easier one. There's a Yad Yehuda and there's a Rav Elyashiv. I was sitting at it wasn't a real Purim Suda, it was the fake Purim Suda of the Maril, the night of Tennis Esther, which, that Marbik Sas we're all very, very machmir on, and everyone has a great party that night. By the way, it's probably the same thing on Purim Katan that we all missed. So, okay, people missed the party. What should I tell you? We should have been a party Friday morning a week and a half ago. Same Marbik Sas in Suda. But anyways, I was sitting at a Purim Suda by Rav Shmuel Wiener, Shlita, and it was late at night, similar to the 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. And we're sitting there. I'm like, oh, no, can't eat right now. Next morning, Megillah, we're going to daven Vasikin. He says, why not? I said, Rabbi, it's not 6 hours. He says, so. He says, you're not going to sleep? I said, of course we go to sleep. He says, you're going to sleep, you could be Mekel. Now, this is... Yeah, the Chassam Sofer is on sickness. We're going to get to Chassam Sofer in 1 minute. That's about a chayla. That's the Chassam Sofer you're remembering. But this is a Yad Yehuda. This Meisim is Rav Elyashiv. That's what everyone quotes. Rav Elyashiv, definitely didn't sleep for 6 hours ever in his entire life. But he slept for a few hours and then he was ready, having his cup of coffee right afterwards. And whether it's a scientific thing that when you're sleeping, your digestive system works faster, whether it's that sleep, that bad breath that you wake up in the morning, so that kills all the meat in your mouth. But whatever it is, but it's a nighttime sleep. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. It doesn't mean if you take a, Shabbos afternoon nap. So the Bachram in Yeshiva all ask, what if I take a Shabbos afternoon nap for 4.5 hours or 5.5 hours, so that I get that extra, I say Bachram because, okay, guys also, whatever it is. But, people have children that, but either way, if you take a nap, it doesn't work. But if you sleep at night, L'maiser Elyashiv was Mekel, I think it's a Yad Yehuda was Mekel, and there's a Makim to be Mekel. I don't think it's necessarily Lechatchila to go and say, I'm going to eat until 2 a.m, go to sleep for whatever, and then wake up. But in that type of situation, you ate, and you're like, oh no, can I have my coffee the next morning? So if you could have your coffee black, which the men amongst us are all saying, who has milk in their coffee, then of course you should do that. And the rest of us that are saying, who doesn't have milk in the coffee, that's crazy. Then you could go and you could have your milk in the coffee. Actually, just remind me, I want to end with a chiddush from Belsky about milk in the coffee. In 1 minute. So now, Lamaisa, when it comes to someone sick, there's a Chassam Sofer on the page, the Pischei Tshuva, quotes Chassam Sofer, that says a choylek sas does not have to wait 6 hours. The Aruch HaShulchan writes that someone who the doctor tells him it's good for him to have milk does not have to wait 6 hours. That's what the Aruch HaShulchan writes. The question is, it doesn't sound like there's this high level of they need the milk. It sounds like if there's a chayla, and there's a reason why milk is good for them, which it is that just the mitzias, that milk is good, especially for a nursing woman. We'll start with the nursing woman. That's the most pashut one. Nursing woman, milk is for sure good for her. It's good for the milk supply. Then there is what to be mekel on. So many say that they can be mekel if they have a craving for milk. The problem is with saying it that way is if you tell a woman, when you have a craving, you could have it. Is this a craving? We're talking about from people that grew up waiting 3 or 6 hours. So do you really need it at that point? She's like, okay, forget it. So first of all, if at that point she says yes, then 100%, she's certainly allowed to have it. But the question is, do you have to be that violent? And the Pashtus, the answer is based on this Aruch HaShulchan. The answer is no. I said this recently in a shir. I got an angry email from someone telling me, you're not in Eretz Yisrael anymore. In America, people don't do this. So I'll just say it just like that. We're not in Eretz Yisrael anymore and people don't do this. However, L'maisa Aruch HaShulchan does right that if someone milk is good for them, then they don't have to wait 6 hours. And when you learn it, it makes a lot of sense because Ikar Din is a Suda and it's a 1 hour and this and that. So once you're talking, usually these things don't happen right after the meal. So is there a minimum? I don't know the answer to that question. Definitely not within an hour. Definitely, one, probably more an hour plus, more like the 3 hours. All of a sudden we're being naked like the Ekis. What really happened? A moment ago we were screaming they have no makar. All of a sudden, it's 3 hours, But the answer is a pregnant woman, a nursing woman, there are those that say there's a minhag for them not to wait 6 hours. And Lamaisa, a pregnant nursing woman does not have to wait 6 hours and they're allowed to be makel and have a milk. after obviously the meal ends, and we'll call it an hour, 2, 3 elapses. If she wants to have milk, if it's good for her to have milk, then she's allowed to have milk. And the final halacha that we're going to conclude with is a Chiddush Rabbi Belsky. It's not printed, but I heard this from multiple of his Talmidim, but there's a scientific detail that you have to verify, which I cannot verify right now, but I could say it over, and if you verify, then great. Something called Taster's Mate coffee creamers. Coffee Mate, thank you, Coffee Mate, coffee creamers. Now, it's OUD, and it contains milk. It's not that it doesn't contain milk. It actually contains milk. There's a milk in the ingredients. So again, Chalav Yisrael, Chol Stam, okay, leave that out of here. But L'maisa, right now, it contains milk. Your fleishiks. Says Rabbi Belsky the following Chiddush, that once you put it into your coffee, it's a bottle. We know this thing called bittel. It's nullified in Shishim at 60 times. Says Rabbi Belsky, the milk quantity inside this little coffee creamer is so small. Now, be careful when I say this. Don't be that guy that puts 10 of them inside your coffee. Probably for other reasons you shouldn't do that, although I saw someone do that yesterday. But yeah, and he's like, no, this is the way I make my coffee. Okay, I'm not getting involved. But either way, if you put in the normal 1 or 2, says Rabbi Belsky, it's bottle. It's bottle. And therefore you're allowed to eat it when you're fleishiks. They said to Rabbi Belsky, we all know there's a rule that you're not allowed to be mevatel something lechatchila. You're not allowed to go and proactively nullify something. Says Rabbi Belsky, that's true, but that's when it's isser. There's no isser here. What are you doing? You're making a cup of coffee. Now you just want to know, are you allowed to eat it, drink it, when your fleishiks on that Rabbi Belsky was makel? I say I don't know this science because we don't really know, and I heard this from Avari Leibowitz and other of his Talmidim. Right? What? Raditsky says it also? Oh, he says to wait 1 hour. Okay, very good. He probably knows more of the. He probably knows more of the science. But the real question is just to make sure that it's still the very small quantity. So in review, the 60-second wrap up, and I'm sorry we're 2 minutes late. We'll finish 3 minutes late. The 60-second wrap is as follows. Number 1, when do you become fleishiks? You become fleishiks if you actually eat meat. If you eat something that has meat in it, something that's meat by association. It was in meat kalim. It was in a meat oven. It was next to meat. It was served with a meat spoon. Does not make you fleishiks. If you're not sure, meaning you put something in your mouth, you spit it out, you wash it out, you're not fleishiks. If you swallowed it and you're sure, you just feel bad, then I also feel bad. But l'maisa, you are fleishiks. That is part A. Part B is once you are fleishiks, how long do you have to wait? You got to wait your 6 hours, got to wait your 3 hours. If you go to sleep, then Rav Elyashiv was making a nighttime sleep for multiple hours. If someone is nursing or pregnant, and I hope you're not sitting in this room, but if someone is nursing or pregnant, l'maisa is makkah to be makel to have milk as it is good for them. That goes into the gather of a chayla, other chaylim as well. Some want to discuss what if someone has a splitting headache and a coffee is going to help them. Probably it would fit into that category as well. And finally, we spoke about the fact that that you have to, if you're suffix, you don't have to wait. If you're suffix, you don't have to wait. If you're sleeping, and you goes from the 6 hours in the meal, goes to the 6 hours in the meal, and the Mirza Hashem. What? And in the coffee, Rabbi Belsky is mekel, and I'll conclude. I heard today from Rav Goiner of Eitan Feiner. He was saying about kashrus. He was saying, why are we so makbid? It's crazy. It's crazy. We separate kalim and we're wild. He gave obviously 50,000 mar mekaymes in about 4 minutes. And but what he said was something very, very simple and something beautiful. It's because you're putting it in your body. We're putting it in your body. And there's something called that you have a neshama, believe it or not, whether you feel it or not. And you don't want to sully your neshama. And therefore, we are very makbid what we put into our mouth. And therefore, we'll end with the bracha, the b'siyat d'shmaya, by being shomer ka'alacha, by following the halacha of what we put into our mouth, and Mirza Hashem will bring out the beautiful purity and taira inside all of us. Shkayach Chevra.